We did $250,000 and we never even had a month even close to that.
You had a fire under your ass.
We had a fire and I was like, oh man. So we just kept our heads down and kept going. And that year was like kind of our turnaround year. In spite of being in the hole and in spite of these setbacks, I refuse to let those things win. And I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight my way through. And sometimes I think we do our best work when our backs are against the wall and we've got nowhere to go but out.
Welcome to the Onsite Podcast. We chat with contractors, educators, industry professionals about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's fucking get into it.
All right, welcome back to the Onsite Podcast, episode 40. Today we have my good friend Amon from San Jose, Texas, with Golden Bear Cabinets. Now, prior to this episode 40, you would have listened to the 8 series where we were discussing different strategies that you can implement into your business. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Definitely make sure to let us know about the feedback on that type of episode. If you like those types of series, we'll implement more of them moving forward. But I'm super excited to actually have some conversations with some contractors that we work with inside the community. And so, Amon, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. Quick clarification, we're in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, there we go. San Antonio, Texas. See, and I don't even have notes. I just wing this shit. So, I think at the end of the day, it's just all about having real conversations, showing that we're real people. So I'm excited to dig into this conversation with you, Amon. So Golden Bear Cabinets, that wasn't always your name, correct? You just did a bit of a name change, a bit of a rebrand. And so tell us a little bit about who you are and what you guys do and what you were before.
We're mostly done with the rebrand. We got our name changed. We were Cabinets and Granite Creations. And back in January of last year, it's been a year now, my wife and I decided to, buy out our partner that we had before and just go in a little bit different direction. And we're never really crazy about the old name. And we kind of arrived at the name. We have a golden doodle. Her name is Lucy, and she's our little bear. And we live in Bear County. And so we just decided to call it Golden Bear, spelled Bexar, like our county that we live in here in San Antonio.
So a familiar name that a lot of people in the county will be very familiar with.
Yeah, it's got regional appeal for sure.
Right. And the rebrand's been going down. How long has the rebrand been live for, roughly?
I think it went live just right towards the end of October into the beginning of November when we officially kind of just started putting it out there and had the website go live.
So in that time period, because I know when we were chatting about this rebrand and, there were some big concerns because just to be clear, they walked away from some great online presence with their other brand. They had multiple different pages directing their clients towards, but the brand was outdated. The visual was outdated, and the direction that they wanted to go was just a lot more, luxurious and just clean, neat, and organized. And they've achieved that with the brand. Definitely go check them out on their website. What was the website again?
It's goldenbear.com, but that bear is spelled like Bexar, Bexar, like our county.
Yeah, so check out this website. Our friends at Blue Collar Marketing did the creative and worked with Amon and his wife on this. And, it came together sensationally, I think. I know it was a long process. I know your wife spent a lot of time with, Blue Collar Marketing on putting together these pieces of information so that, your clients can get a clear perspective of the direction that you're trying to go with this business. I love the logo. I know that, she was very much a part of the creative direction with the new brand.
More than a part, I would say she was the driving force. And we never always see things the same, but she was pretty clear on where she wanted the aesthetic to be. I focus more on the outside. Let's just get this stuff done, get the shit out the door and finished up. And she's like, no, I want it to look this way. It's got to be cohesive. And I'm like, okay, baby, you just do what you got to do and we'll figure it out.
No, man, it turned out incredible. And so, since the rebrand has happened, we haven't actually talked about this. We haven't surfaced this. And you can be completely transparent with it as well. And just for anyone that's listening, they were ranking on the top page with every page with their previous business. And so there were some major concerns because if anybody knows anything about Google, prior decades of SEO is really hard to ignore, right? And then starting a new brand takes some time. I know this from experience. You think that it's just going to go boom, bada bing, and you'll be, back up and running. But I'm curious, Amon, what's the transition been like? Are your clients receptive to the new brand, to the new name? What's the feedback look like right now?
Oh, definitely. I think people think it has a better branding, if you will, it has a better ability to be a brand. And I just felt like our old name just the sites. It didn't give us any opportunity to move out of what we were doing. And we've got some visions for future where we might want to actually create our own brand that we could market, not just to our region. And so I thought just doing it like this, and we already have some experience with sending out cabinets to some other states. And just to me, I just think it looked better on logos. We could put it on merchandise and it just has a better look altogether. And it just kind of like the ring of it. And that's kind of that.
Yeah, and I mean, it has some sentimental value as well. This is, the new direction for the business. I know that both of you are very invested financially, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, in your business for you and your family. And you're a big family man, and I know that as the man of the family, so to speak, everything weighs on our shoulder. We take it on our shoulders and we throw this stuff on our back to make sure we see it through to its true success so we can provide for our families. And so I know that you're fighting each and every day for your family to, reap the benefits of this new direction. And honestly, that's sometimes what it looks like, is that we have to do the uncomfortable shit as the men in the household to protect our family by putting in extra long hours, by working our ass off behind closed doors when everyone's sleeping, to see it come together. And I know that you'll be successful because you got that warrior inside of you. Tell us a little bit about your family. You've got, a wife and some kids, and I think your daughter just got engaged. You got a lot of stuff going on.
She did indeed. Yeah. So we've got two daughters, a 24 and a 21-year-old. 24-year-old just got engaged day before Christmas. And so now we've got that next chapter that just thinks, oh, when are we going to kind of have some time to just kind of catch our breath and really focus on the business? But, oh, wait, let's have to plan a wedding for next year. Like we just did our 25th year anniversary, and that was all like planning another wedding. And so, yeah, we've had a lot of things this past year going on. And then the family things are great. I'd rather deal with the family problems than business problems, but then you can't neglect the business problems. As you know, you just have to be focused on that. But no, I've got an amazing wife, Kristen. She's just been the most amazing woman. She believes in me. She trusts me. She's my biggest champion. And that's what motivates me to just go every day, do the hard things. Like you're talking about, like pull that load, carry the weight. And it's not easy, but no, it's worth it, and to see those two girls and just watch them grow up, and hopefully they end up with men that are like me in some way, better than me, hopefully, but at least have that good ethic to just do what they got to do and be a man of God.
I love it, man. What an incredible man. And we met, a few months ago before the rebrand and everything, came about. And I know you guys were out there kind of hunting for some different coaches and some different options existed. And, I'm glad that, we were able to connect, because I believe, even just being surrounded with you, in our circle allows me also to reflect on, how can I be a better father, a better, man for my family, a better provider. And I see a lot of those traits in you. So I love working with those types of people, because it really also, fuels me as well. And so, hats off to you on just being that leading force for your family, because I think there are so many weak men, unfortunately, in this planet right now. And they forget just the fundamental facts of just do the work for your family so you can provide support and protect the people that you say you love. So I love that you have that at the forefront of your mind at all times. And I think it's noticed. Even when we talk, you command the conversation and provide your wife with, protective support, knowing that you guys are heading in the right direction. And even if you don't know what's about to happen, you just said, you just own it.
No, we don't know what's going to happen. We just put our heads down and just blaze a path forward. What else can we do? Yeah.
Well, and also you touched on a little bit, you and your wife just celebrated your 25th anniversary. You redid your vows, or what happened there?
I didn't have the financial ability when we got married, 25 years ago. Our engagement was sort of like this: Tuesday, hey, will you marry me? Although 2 days before that, we already got our marriage license. I didn't even really proposed. And then Sunday we got married, and that was it. We did our honeymoon overnight in a hotel because I had to be to work on Monday. So I got a late start on Monday because I was working a job, and that was it. And we thought, one day we'll have a honeymoon, and just then the kids came, and then life just got busy. And actually we planned on doing it in 2020, but then COVID hit, so that got delayed. We ended up doing something a little smaller scale, but I always want to give my wife kind of what she deserved, which is like a real wedding. So we planned it out, and she planned it, and I just kind of did whatever she asked me to do. And we got a group of our close friends and some close family. We all met down in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and we stayed at a beautiful resort and had a reception, and it was amazing. I finally got to do
beautiful. Photos are beautiful.
Thank you. It was great. It was just unbelievable. I'm so happy that she got to have that experience, and myself too, really. It felt like a mile marker for our lives.
Well, that's amazing. Congratulations. If you're listening to this, okay, so track how much shit we're doing right now, okay? So we took over a business. We're rebranding the business, right? We just celebrated a wedding that his wife also had to plan in addition to, the rebrand alongside. And there were moments for sure, like when we were in our coaching calls, there were moments, where it was the imposter syndrome set in for seconds, literally only seconds. And then, you would provide your wife reassurance. But now we've also got their daughters getting engaged. They got to do it again.
They do it all over again. Right.
And they just onboarded JobTread, which is a construction management software, which advances technology. And following this call, Amon and his wife are going to be traveling to JobTread Connect up in Texas and continue to advance. So for anyone that's listening and sitting there complaining about how they don't have anything, it's probably because you're not doing enough, right? You're not doing enough shit to advance your business. They're doing so much more than most people would normally ever do, and still showing up and smiling each and every day. So, I want to first off thank you for taking time out of your day to be on this podcast with me. And, I'm excited to dig in a little bit more about your business.
Well, it's my pleasure, Brandon, and thanks for having us on.
Hey, we've got an ad here. Make sure to pay attention. What's up, guys? Are you a contractor or business owner looking to take things to the next level? Well, I've got something for you. The Elite Builder Society is a community that helps contractors grow and scale. For $49 a month, you can have access to 20 group coaching calls. Look, you're probably wondering, how am I going to show up to 20 calls, Brandon? That's a lot. And yeah, it is a lot for $49 a month. But every call is recorded so you can watch it at your leisure. But you get the best experience when you're live on the call with us. Okay, at the end of every webinar, there will be a Q&A where you can ask the industry expert questions that you can implement into your business. Look, if you're ready to take things to the next level for $49 a month, go to ebsworks.com and register today. I look forward to seeing you inside the community.
Now, I want to dig into, where the vision is. Where are we trying to go with this business? What is Golden Bear Cabinets to you? And where's the future? Or as far as you can see, anyway.
The future I see right now, just in the industry, is that people, they don't have the patience for delayed gratification. They want things instantly. And that's difficult when you have an analog, product, and people want to go online and just, push go and send now or buy now. And we can't quite get there, but I think we get a little bit closer. And the reason why we do what we do is we're in the RTA space, ready to assemble cabinetry space of cabinets. And we chose that because we like the consistency, we like the efficiency, the quality. We can get things in a matter of days. We schedule our kitchens in and out. We're complete in 2 weeks, from cabinets, countertops, and backsplash. And so that's our core of what we do in the business. And then just where we're going, I feel like with that, we can just, we find great lines of cabinets that fit with what we do. And we can just keep adding to, our product availability. And then we can come up with designs that look very, very custom, but you're not waiting around for the weeks. You're getting a little bit of that instantaneous gratification, if you will, as close as we can be anyway.
One question, do you supply and install? So obviously, if you look at your website, you're, providing a service for a client, you're kind of remodeling their kitchen.
Sure.
And we'll dig into that. But on the other side, if somebody's let's say in, Jersey or somewhere else outside of your region, would you ship them a product? Is that something that you're talking about kind of for the future?
We've done a little bit of that. And that's kind of like one day when we were on vacation. Actually, we'd taken our oldest daughter when she graduated from high school. We took her to south of France, and I'm looking out the window, and it was sunrise. The Alps are in the background, seeing the Mediterranean Sea out there, and I'm like, God, this thing is beautiful. And I had a little email that came through, and I checked in the morning there, and there was one of my old installers had moved to North Carolina, and he needed cabinets, and he really liked the cabinets that we were doing here. And he said, "Hey, Amon, is there any way I could get these cabinets here?" And I'm like, "Let me see what I can do." I fired up a couple of emails to, my supplier, and within 15 minutes I had a quote. I had, the shipping worked out, and he was like, "Man, let's do it." And I had him this cabinets in about 5 business days. And so I did that a couple of times for him. And that kind of gave me the idea that this should be more than what we're doing locally. And eventually I hope that we can get to where that would be the core of our business. And like the dream, obviously, I was on a beach someday, with a Corona in my hand, looking at the sunset, and I'm just pick up my phone and boom, there goes another order. And that was a light bulb moment for me. I'm like, man, I wasn't a big order, but I mean, I made the company like $2,800 in 15 minutes. And I'm like, that's nothing to sneeze at, man. And so I do a little bit of that. I sent it to Hawaii. I have some contacts there where we're from, and we'll send kitchens out there. We've done, I think, about 8 now, just different kitchens, and we'll do a design for them, ship them out there. And so that's our goal in this next year, is to try to do more of that.
Well, dude, you're on a show right now with contractors all across North America. So the opportunities literally could unfold. I have contacts in Hawaii. I've got contacts all across North America, and I would love to help you make some connections following this at your pace, because I know you guys got a lot going on, but at your pace, I'd love to make those connections. So outside of that, let's talk about the product itself. Why would anybody else really consider this, in their home or as a product to put in their client's home? Tell us a little bit about the products.
Okay, so all of our cabinets that we offer, none of them are going to be a particle board. They're going to be all wood constructed. They're going to have standard soft close, doors, drawers, plywood constructed boxes. They're the same cabinets that you'd order, from a shop fully built. We bring ours flat packed and we assemble on site. And what that does for us is we get the cabinets, depending on the lines, within the next day or maybe the next week at the longest. We'll have to wait. And we bring those things, we get them through tight doorways, upstairs. We bring them in flat, and our guys will put them together on site and install right there. So the number one is the benefit of the speed, and then the quality, what you get is every bit as good as any of the custom cabinets I've ever had built in the past. This is kind of another light bulb moment for me too. Back in, I think it was 2013, I was getting ready to do a kitchen. It was a big custom kitchen. And, I know all these custom cabinet guys, I always tell, it'll be ready in 3 weeks. It'll be ready in 4 weeks. And it's always a lie. I don't think they mean to lie. They just don't know how to manage time. And so I'm always trying to outsmart those guys. And I had a project the cabinets had to be there in 8 weeks. And so I tell my guys that are doing them, I say, I need them in 4 to 6 weeks max, no problem. It was on the 8th week. They're starting to bring cabinets. Some of them were wrong. They didn't look consistent. We had to have them all refinished again. Meanwhile, in their bathroom, I was doing another little side project, same project. And I had these RTA cabinets that were all wood constructed. And at the end of the day, the quality was even better than the supposed custom cabinets that took so long to do. And I was like, why am I pulling my hair out? I need to be doing this. This is where I'm going to go. And in 2014, we did our first kitchen as in that model. And it actually came out better than I could have dreamed. I mean, we literally got in there, got the cabinets done in 2 days. We had the countertops in like 3 days after that, and the backsplash was done. And I'm like, why am I fighting this? And so at that point, I said, I'm not doing the custom stuff anymore. And there's a space for that. There's great custom builders out there, and we can't duplicate something for everybody. But honestly, we've got something that would work in 90 to 95% of the houses. And if you like one of the colors or styles that we offer, we can come up with a great design. It'll look every bit as custom as your supposed custom cabinets.
That's amazing. And I want to lean into that too. So it's called RTA, Ready to Assemble. Obviously.
Ready to Assemble, correct. There we go. Kind of the biggest space, I think, in cabinet now. And a lot of the older manufacturers that kind of poo-pooed that idea, I think, are realizing that, like, if you can't beat them, join them. And again, it's for the quality consistency. And like, if you did something custom, let's just say you built a beautiful set of cabinets and you got a guest over, one of your kids climbs up and they hang on a door and it rips off the hinges. You can't just go down to the store and buy a replacement. You're going to have that custom cabinet maker remake you a door, hopefully get all the same codes right. Hopefully the finish comes out the same and it looks the same. Whereas with our cabinet, if that was to happen, we order a replacement, FedEx it in, get it swapped out in a couple of days, and you can't tell. I've had this happen on cabinets that were 7 years old. Put a new one up there. I thought, okay, it's going to be yellowed. It's going to look different. You can't tell the difference. I think the quality of the finish is so much better.
That's incredible. I mean, I want to lean into that too. Like, as technology advances, I think what we're going to see is that there's user failure right? Like humans are naturally prone to make mistakes. And so when humans are building custom elements and they're being outperformed by technology, they're naturally going to make more mistakes than the technology will over time. And, there are places like you mentioned for, extreme custom cabinetry, but I think in 95 to 98% of scenarios, this product would be great. And being that it's flat packed, the risk of damage throughout shipping, is almost eliminated. Like IKEA, they specialized, their entire business is around flat packed items. Right. They were the first to bring that product to the market, and they grew and they exploded because they were able to lower their shipping costs and be able to transport large items all across the world and without them being damaged along the way. If you ship just a box, right, from one state to another, there's a good chance that the box is going to be broken. But if you ship, a flat piece of solid wood's, really, really strong, and it can withstand a lot. And so, if it's protected properly, I think this is probably the best alternative. And especially when you're manufacturing it in a controlled environment with technology, the problems become less, and that's where the comparison I wanted to, kind of allude to was you could hire a custom cabinet company. There's a probability that things are going to go wrong because they're humans doing the things. You can hire this, RTA type product that's built in a controlled environment that demands perfection because their margins are tight. And so they can't make mistakes, right? And so their level of expectation is significantly higher than the guy that's actually building it. And so I think this is going to be the future, dude. And I think you're in a great position. Now, it sounds like you got a great product. Any of the RTA type products that I've ever seen are particle core shit. Even IKEA, they have cardboard inside of some of their cabinets.
I didn't want to trash IKEA, but I think that was kind of the misnomer a lot of people have. Like, oh, so like an IKEA cabinet. I'm like, no, not. I mean, like it in the sense that it comes in a box. But this isn't geared for like a homeowner. These are built for like, experienced installers, contractor type people that know how to put shit together. We use the right fasteners, we use the right glues. And once it's built, the only difference between our cabinet being built on site and one that comes from the factory built is that we just do it on site. And like you said to earlier, what you alluded to with the shipping, early on, we actually used to bring them in built. Like we have that option with some of our manufacturers that we use. We can bring them in built. It just takes, 2 to 3 weeks longer. And then, when they come in, you see that forklift that's run through, the top of that pallet and they've damaged 2 cabinets and they're built. Well, our installers are kind of dead in the water. They're going to get so much done. It could be a key piece. And now we're waiting on, the replacement. And so it's like, okay, well, let's just get them flat pack and see how that goes. I'm like, why weren't we doing this sooner?
What's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Onsite Podcast. So here's the deal. We want to grow this show and we need your help. It's simple. Pay the tax, share the show. That's it. Let's get back into it.
And now let's talk about the value. I think we've identified, the comparable value from custom built to RTA. We're going to use that term a little bit here, RTA built. So if I was a contractor in another state and I'm listening to this podcast right now and I'm like, you know what? I'm pissed off at my custom cabinet guy. I've got my own team of people. We can probably, assemble these things. If we can build IKEA furniture, we can probably build these things. It sounds like that you have to be a bit of a professional. So if you're a professional contractor, you can probably assemble them, and what's that like value? Is there margin in there for them that they could, make some profit? What does all that look like?
When we sell our cabinets to like, say, another builder, the less we have to touch the cabinet, the less risk we have and the less I have to charge. So of course, the most, they're going to be able to make is if they just buy them flat packed and do all the work themselves. But the second they cut something wrong or break something, and that's not a warranty issue, they're buying it again. And so really, we offer them in different, like we'll get them flat pack and we can bring them on site and assemble them and let them do the install. We can bring them flat pack or we do the full turnkey. And what I've found is the majority of the builders would either opt for just having them, brought in, assembled and let those guys do it, like more for the multifamily, or they just have us do it because now it takes all the headache away. So if something's wrong, that's on us. They don't have to think about it. They look at it, looks good, cut me a check and we're gone. And I handle all the hassle of, dealing with make sure everything is correct and not going off of their plans. I'm going after my plans and my guys know how to do it. So I trust our installers because we give them good information. I don't know what their installers are capable of. And a lot of times they can screw some shit up, let me tell you.
There we go. Well, so if anybody is listening to this, again, goldenbear.com, you can reach out to Amon. You can talk to him directly. And Bear spelled BEXAR.com. You can reach out to Amon directly, chat with him if you want to, talk about a collaboration opportunity. I think right now they'll keep it within America, until the tariffs and all that stuff's probably handled before, we're dealing with cross-border shipping and all that kind of stuff. I don't think you're shipping off to Canada right now until the tariff disasters kind of put on pause. Or
I don't know. Are they charging us tariffs now?
I don't know. I don't know where it's going. It's everybody's just trying to protect them. No, you can't. And I think everybody's just trying to look out for themselves, and it's the government. So you never know who's in actual control. But that's for another episode. So Amon, I want to talk. You've been in the industry for a while now. You've gone through a partner exit. You got your family behind you. You got 2 kids. You got a dog. You got a lot of stuff on your plate. And at some point, in that journey, there must have been some moments in time where you're just like really beating yourself up. So I want to kind of dig into, maybe a little bit more of the personal stuff and the battles that you've maybe gone through. Is there any like stories that, come to mind where it was just like, a relatable scenario that somebody else that's maybe listening could be like, what, I went through the same kind of shit. Here's how I persevered and pushed forward.
Yeah, I got one for you. It was 2017, and we had been flopping around trying to figure out what we're going to do with this business. We're approaching 3 years at the time, and I felt like we weren't going anywhere. And my former partners convinced me we should borrow some money and try to land some builder accounts, and that's going to, propel us to where we want to go. And I've always been like, no, I don't want to owe anybody anything. I like to use, whatever we have, we'll figure it out. So this time I consented. We did it. We borrowed money, $50,000. It was a lot of money for us at the time. Still a lot, but it was a lot, especially back then. And we landed an account with a builder. We did 2 full kitchens for him. We ended up not getting paid. He went bankrupt, and we were out the $50,000 on an ACH loan that they were sucking money out on a daily withdrawal from our account. And so now I'm $50,000 in the hole, just down in the dumps, just going, what in the am I doing? And then I was like, oh yeah, by the way, we had a wedding that we had to go to back in Hawaii as my sister-in-law was getting married. So we just started another project, and we did a kitchen, we did some flooring that I would take on. It was about 3,200 square feet of tile flooring in the house. And I set loose one of my reliable floor installers. And within 2 days of getting there, I get calls from the owner going, I don't know what's going on. Everything's screwed up. And I'm like, this is just how it goes. Why did I even leave? And I get back, and it was about 25% of this tile that I don't know if he just happened to get into drugs like while I was gone. I mean, he was normally reliable, and he just destroyed it. We ended up taking out about 700-800 square feet of tile, redoing it, refinishing marble that he screwed up, all in the midst of like being $50,000 in the hole. And I'm like, what in the hell are we going to do? Like, I'm a man of my word. I promise I'd get it done. I'm going to get it done. If I have to use my own money to do it, I'll do it. And I said to my partner, I said, okay, because his side was sales. I was the operations side. And I was like, look, you just sell, and I'm going to go out and try to sell. And whatever we sell, I'll just figure out how we're going to get it done. And that's what we did. And the next month, we did $250,000, and we never even had a month even close to that.
You had a fire under your ass.
We had a fire, and I was like, oh man. So we just kept our heads down and kept going. And that year was like kind of our turnaround year. In spite of being in the hole and in spite of these setbacks, I refuse to let those things win. And I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight my way through. And sometimes I think we do our best work when our backs are against the wall and we've got nowhere to go but out. That was a good turnaround for us at that season of our lives.
That's a great story. And I have a bit of a relatable story, and I've never actually shared it on here. And so I think it's a good space to share it. I also had gone away. I was going away for something. I was coming off of a pretty significant loss. I don't remember what year. This is several years ago. I was coming off a loss, similar situation with another builder. And so I had a team of people, and I had this one guy working for me for, I don't know, maybe a month, not that long, maybe a month. And he felt like he was pretty, reliable, showed up every day, didn't smell like booze, didn't seem just like a safe bet. Right. And so
Right.
I had a partner at the time in another business, and him and I were going away to a conference in Vegas. I was actually World of Concrete, which I think is coming up right away. And so him and I were going to this conference in Vegas, and the guy that I hired or that's been working for me for about a month or so, he says, "Hey man, like," and we had a couple open projects and we were behind. And so we're trying to, let a fire under our ass and get more done than we're normally capable of doing. Right. So that we can replenish the losses or whatever it might be. Right. And so he's like, "I'll work the weekend." I was like, "Are you sure? Anybody else want to work the weekend?" "Yeah, for sure. I'll work." "Okay, cool. You want to work?" And so he was the most skilled person that we had on site because me and my partner were gone. And so he had to buy materials. And so I left him my credit card.
Oh.
And he didn't go to work on the weekend. He went to the casino and he blew through money like crazy. And my Visa company didn't stop it. I think he knew what he was doing. He just kept every transaction under the amount, but he just kept going back, cash withdrawal, playing poker, and then also went to Home Depot. So this is where we were confused, because he went to Home Depot that day on the Saturday and bought the supplies for the job. And I couldn't see the receipts at the time, what he actually bought, but it seemed pretty heavy. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Because he was buying some material or whatever. He ended up buying a whole shitload of tools that he took home and the supplies. And then that evening he went to the casino and just raged through it. So, unfortunately we pressed charges. He got charged over that. We didn't get our money back because there was some, because we had consented to giving him the card. And so we were out thousands of dollars additionally into, the other losses. We did get to return the tools and stuff that he stole to Home Depot and got the cops involved. But dude, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you put your trust in other people. And sometimes those people kind of go the other direction. And unfortunately, that's part of the risk that we take. I didn't see this one coming. And if I'm being completely honest, I didn't see it coming, and I was quite shocked when it did. So,
you usually can't see it coming when it's coming. That's the unfortunateness of the whole thing. But you're talking about having to put our trust in other people. Something I'm still dealing with is that nobody's going to do your business the way you do your business. Yeah. And it's difficult because you want to train someone, you want to duplicate someone, and I want it done this way. But the way they get to your way isn't going to be the way you're going to do it. So that you have to find someone that, let them have their own way, so long as the outcome is good and they're not, violating your core values along the way. And that's the biggest challenge, is just trusting people to do at least, even if they did 80% as good as you kind of almost have to say that might be good enough. I hate to admit that. I wish it was 100%, but that's impossible, because hate to break it to you, if we were to do it for someone else, we'd be lucky to hit 80% of what they wanted. So it's kind of like, okay, let's make something that's duplicatable, a system that works, and that people can follow it, and you can just put your baselines in, the basic criteria that they have to meet, and then hopefully they do a good enough job in execution.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a great story, good relatable topic that I'm sure a lot of the listeners can kind of relate to. And it is part of the business. And unfortunately, along the way, I've experienced significant losses along the way, and those are life lessons that we have to navigate in order for us to press forward. But you have to really be confident in what you're doing. There has to be a solution to a problem. You have to be solving a problem. Amon, you're solving the cabinet industry issue in your local region and expanding across. And you've got confidence in what you're doing, you're delivering, and I think that's important. And it's visible with the product. It's visible with you and how you show up for your clients. So I'm thankful to be supporting you through this journey of growth, and excited for the remainder of 2026, so you guys can actually capitalize on some of the time, energy, and resources that you've put into your business. You've got great website, beautiful brand. You've got, a very powerful, if not one of the most powerful construction management softwares with the best resource team. And I only speak like that because I've just seen the transformations. I've seen the transformations. And when I was helping you guys kind of plan out your speakers for JobTread Connect, it really, it saddens me that I'm not there this year, and Eric, the CEO, is also a little bit upset that I'm not there, but without question, I'll be there next year. I guess I under anticipated what the impact could have been. And I'm also a little bit nervous. There's going to be thousands of people there.
Right.
And so from my side, like if I had thousands of clients right now, I wouldn't even know what to do. It's too much for me to take on. I already manage enough relationships by myself, trying to give them that personalized experience that if I had, 1,000 more people say, hey, we want to work with you, it'd be very hard to manage that. And so we'll be ready next year. But, Amon, I know that you're going to get a lot of value out of that. I know you're, pretty beginner stage with
we are
JobTread.
Very beginner, but we're excited to just really immerse ourselves for the next 3 days and get as much as we can out of it, and then bring it back and share it with our team, kind of get them pumped on it. And then we'll send them up to the other training sessions that they're going to have throughout the year. And we're excited. It's intimidating for sure, but it's one of those necessary steps I think we have to take in order to get our business to actually start working for us as hard as we're working for the business. And that's the goal.
And I guess we should give some context. This podcast is recorded obviously in advance, right? And so the episode is airing. This episode today is airing in March. And so, the JobTread Connect was in January. So Amon has already gone to the event. He's already learned, he's already immersed himself in all of this information, and he's already progressing with all of this in his business if you're listening to it today. But we recorded it obviously in January when him and his wife are about to head on the road and head to Texas. So super excited for you and your wife, the business, the growth, the direction. I would love to support you in any way I can outside of what we're already doing. And if anybody's listening to this again and you want to dig into, adding Amon's product as a cabinet resource into your business, definitely go check him out, goldenbear.com. Get a lot of value. Amon, anything else you want to share with us before we wrap this up?
I want to thank you actually, Brandon, just for I feel like you've had to play, sometimes some weeks it's marriage counselor, some way it's just a little pep talk, but I really value, I feel like you just seem like you have like a vested interest in our success. And I don't know that we could have really gotten that and my wife was the pusher of this. She's like, we need to get a coach. And I'm like, what do we need a coach for? We're doing just fine. But she was right. And I just appreciate how you've just been there throughout the weeks, and you've given us a great network of resources, not only just for our website, the JobTread, but others as well in the advertising space. And so I'm really excited to just dig into the rest of the community and just see what this is all about. I think you're doing a great thing, and I'm excited for you and your business as well.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I had this unique call, and it won't really surface on here, but my I don't know how to say it without sewering anyone. My girlfriend, she's trying to navigate something right now, and the person that we're trying to navigate it with isn't as invested as we would expect them to be. You know what I mean? Communication isn't as great as we would like it to be. There aren't as many touch points as we would like there to be. And many years ago, I was working with I would call him very successful service-based contractor. He owned a service-based business, hundreds of employees, burn rate of $700,000, near $1 million a month in burn per month. And he made me feel like I was his only client every time. And in order for him to burn $1 million in operating cash, he would have to make 2 or 3 times that per month to be sustainable. So you can imagine how many transactions are taking place throughout the weeks, throughout the days, throughout the months. But I felt like I was his only client every time for months. And so what I learned from that experience was that you have to give your clients this personalized experience, because on the other side of that is happiness and success and that type of, support that you just gave me. And that's why I do it. Because I truly am invested in your success. And if I'm not, there's no point in me doing this. There's literally no point. And the reason I wanted to bring up my girlfriend and her situation is because that person doesn't see it the same way. He feels like he's delivering a service and we should bow down. And it's and there's so many people in the coaching space that are ego driven, right? That are I'm this great person. And so you must bow down to me because I am going to give you small amounts of my time, and you have to scrape my, my feet for my time. And it's not how it is. You are serving someone. If someone is paying you for a service, the expectation is you deliver something great in return. And so that's why I do what I do, is because at some point along the way, I felt that connection one time. And I said, if he can do it, I can do it. And so I've really invested that. And I even coach that into my entire program with everyone. It's like, make every client, no matter how many you have, make them feel like they're your only customer. Don't talk about your other projects. Don't talk about how busy you are. Don't talk about, what else is going on in your shit. Nobody cares. The client only cares about themselves, which they should, and whatever is going on in their life with them and their business. And that's the only thing that you should care about as well. And so, that they give you some context. That's why I do what I do the way I do it, because I don't see it any other way.
Well, keep it up, Brandon. I think you're doing fantastic with that.
I appreciate that. Well, this has been a great episode, Amon. I know you got to get on the road. I know you got a lot of shit going on today. And so I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ciao.
All right, that concludes this episode of the Onsite Podcast. Remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please pay the tax, share the show. Guys, if you want to be a part of the Elite Builder Society, all you got to do is pay $49 a month. That's it. $49 a month. You get 20 group coaching calls every month. Okay? Go to ebsworks.com and register today. If you enjoyed the show, please pay the tax and share the show.